really nice. Okay, welcome back to the channel everybody. We've got a very exciting review for you today and it's a big launch. It's Ping and these look absolutely superb. So can't wait to get stuck into hitting these, testing these new G425 drivers. So we're going to concentrate on drivers today. We've got the whole family to go through. There'll be separate videos on all of those reviews. So if they haven't landed on the channel as yet, they will be coming very, very soon. But we're going to focus on G425 drivers in this particular video. Okay, so G425, new offering from Ping, and these, as I mentioned, look absolutely superb on first look, so really excited to test these. Three different heads, as we've seen in the past with Ping. So we've got the G425 Max head, which is typically going to be the more forgiving one, weight more sort of back, a little bit more stable on those sort of mishits. We've then got the G425 LST, so the low spin technology as we expect and we've seen in other models as well. So a bit more of a lower spin, slightly smaller compact head for that, maybe slightly those better players who may be looking for a little bit less spin. And then we've got the G425 SFT straight flight technology, which is more of a draw biased driver. We're going to really focus on the Max and the LST in this particular video. We'll do a separate one for the SFT. So we're going to start off with the Max first. We'll hit some shots. Okay, so G425 Max. So we're just going to start off, hit a shot first. Let's get some first impressions. Really excited to hit this. But first of all, just the first initial impressions, as I would always do on my reviews, of the playing position, how it sits behind that golf ball. So we've got a 460cc head, and it's a Ping driver. It just looks like a Ping driver. There is some slight subtle differences compared to G410. We've still got turbulators on the top. We've still got Dragonfly, but that's now hidden underneath, so we don't really see it. And the little lines at the back of the crown of the head there, a little bit more subtle now, so not quite as busy on the head as maybe what we've seen in previous models. It's a good looking driver. It's a matte black finish. As I say, this is the Max head. Just sits a fraction towed in for me. We've got this 9° set as a 9°. Just sits a slightly towed in, as you probably expect on the Max head, to be honest. Okay, let's get this first one out. Ooh, that's lovely. And that has come out absolutely lovely. So first impressions there, sound. It sounds like a Ping driver, which are always tend to be a little bit louder than maybe other drivers on the market. Again, it's a personal thing. I don't mind that too much, to be honest. I mean, I personally play a G400 driver. It sounds very similar to that to me, so I wasn't expecting it to be any different in any way. Oh, and again, that's a good strike. Just slightly leaking up that right hand side, a little bit of left to right there, which I don't mind at all. So we can see there, spin number 2,800. Good carry there at 284. Speed a little bit down, club head speed around 110, a little bit down. It is a very, very cold day here at Penrith Golf Club, unfortunately, so I won't be firing on all cylinders, unfortunately. I've had a good warm up and that's just pretty much as where I'm getting it at the moment, at 110. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about technology. So Ping are saying their most forgiving driver they've ever made was the G400 Max driver. I probably agree with that. It was a very good performing driver. They then brought G410 in and they tried to make that, obviously, that deep back CG placement that they had in the 400 Max, then try and make it adjustability. Obviously with G410 we had the weight going into the heel to the toe, and that was a 16g weight. So it's a 20g weight in the G400 Max. We then went to 16g weight in the G410 to get the movability, to try and get a fitting aspect in as well as the maximum forgiveness. And what they're doing now in the G425 is they're making this as forgiving, as stable as a G400 Max, but still with adjustability. And there's a little bit of a change there. So this tungsten weight at the back section now is 26 grams. So that's 10 grams heavier than the previous model, the 410, and 6 grams more than the G400 Max. Still got the same adjustability as in range of movement of that CG from the heel to the toe as you've got in the G410. Because we've got a heavier weight, the tungsten gram is now 26 grams, you don't have to move it as far to the heel to the toe to create the same amount of movability. Okay, interesting. So much more compact, but ultimately keeping that heavy weight at the back for more. So obviously in the 410, when we put it into the heel, it came more obviously down the club face, near to the club face as you moved it into the heel, and the same with the toe section. So it's staying at the back, so they're keeping that level of forgiveness is what Ping is saying. That's lovely. That is really nice. Such a good ball flight. Yeah, so good launch there at 13. Spin at 2,200, 276, lovely. The big thing I really like about these, and the first thing I saw when I pulled off the wrappers of these, is the colour scheme. Now we're into this sort of grey. We've obviously got the matte black that we've seen in the previous model, which I'm a big fan of. I do like that. The underneath now, we've got this sort of mixture, this like grey and a little bit of sort of silver in there. I just think it looks absolutely classic. It just looks quality. You know, it oozes a really good sort of shelf appeal there. Oozes a really good sort of quality finish, as you'd always expect with Ping. You know, they make some fantastic gear, don't they? And the quality is always good. Okay, that's a little bit of a heel one. This is a little bit tester, a bit of forgiveness. It's just moving up that right hand side as you expect from that heel strike. But ball speed wise, 160, that's not bad. Obviously it's going to spin up, heel shot 3,000, but it's not stupidly high, and still a good bit of distance there. Not losing much from that front to back dispersion. So the other aspects we're seeing in technology wise, we've got the forged face, we've got the rougher face, which is creating friction, which helps to sort of control spin on the actual shots. As I mentioned, we've got the Dragonfly, which is now hidden in there, a little bit more turbulated still there, so they're trying to get that efficiency and the aerodynamics through the air to really maximise sort of club head speed. And we've also got obviously the tuning port that in the neck sleeve there from Ping, so obviously we can dial in that loft. You know, we can go up and down by up to 1.5 degrees. We can change those sort of lies a little bit, so fantastic tool for when obviously you're fitting and really dialing in a club to suit a golfer's delivery. Oh, I mean, it just seems to want to go pretty straight, that, which is nice. That's a lovely ball flight again. Just feels very solid. You know, I think the sound is a little bit on that higher pitched noise. Again, I'm used to that. I do play with the G400, so it doesn't bother me at all really on that front. But the feel, and it does feel very solid. Like I've just missed that slightly toe, just got one in that little bit in the heel. I can feel that. I'm getting the feedback through it, but it does feel very stable. So I'm sort of getting around this sort of 26 gram weight at the back is creating that stability there. So very, very forgiving driver in my eyes. So in comparison to G410, and there will be a separate video here of a comparison between the G425 and the G410, separate video will be coming. But what Ping is saying is when the weight is in that central section at the back, so the more neutral position, this is 7% more forgiving or more stable than the G410. When it's in that draw position, so the heel placement, it's 20% more forgiving, and then also when it's into that fade biased, it's then 16% more forgiving. So overall, they are saying it's much more forgiving, much more stable, higher MOI than the G410, and I'm sort of feeling that. I do like the way that feels stable. I'm just moving my strike fractionally around the club face, and it does feel very stable. The ball doesn't seem to veer off too much. Ah, and again, that's great. Love that. Love the look of it. It feels very, very solid. The dispersion ring there is really good there. Very happy with that. That was a nice shot just to finish off with a Max. Okay, so loft availability wise in the G425 Max head, we've got a 9 degree, we've got a 10.5, and we've got a 12 degree. And obviously we've got the neck sleeve there, so we can dial that up and down from those particular lofts. Let's switch into the LST and see how that performs. Okay, so moving into the LST. So LST stands for low spin technology. So ultimately a slightly more lower spinning type of head. Maybe for those golfers who are trying to get that spin number down. Typically for a golfer, maybe has a little bit more speed. So typically somebody like myself maybe, who's trying to get a little bit of control of spin if they've got a little bit more speed. So size of the head now is now 445cc. So 460 on the Max, we're now into 445. So just that little bit more compact head. And you do see that, again, as I put that down into its playing position, just a little bit more squat. Obviously it's not too small there, it is a small adjustment, but it is just that little bit more squat there. Same on the head, matte black finish. Now this as you expect with an LST, and it sits a lot squarer to my eye. That sits absolutely plumb square. So a little bit more pleasing to my eye as it actually sits down by the golf ball. Okay, so let's get the LST underway. Again, got 9-degree head set at 9 degrees, same chassis I've just had in the Max. Yeah, that's lovely. Good solid crack off the face again. Felt pretty powerful. Similar sort of club head speed, ball speed, spin just under that 2,500 and 284 on that carry. So difference now with the LST against the Max is this tungsten weight at the back now is only 17 grams. So we've gone from 26 to 17. And obviously what they're having to do here to try and create that more lower spin profile in the head is take a little bit of that weight and then move some of that weight now forward in the club face, which we know that helps to generate a little bit less spin in terms of the characteristics of the actual head itself. So still got the adjustability with the heel and the toe, so you can move that, the weight a little bit to really sort of dial in terms of shot shaping. Oh, again, that looks to be a little bit more penetrating on that flight. Good bit of ball speed there, 163, 2.3 spin, very nice. So between those two drivers, there's not a lot of difference in terms of the sound. Obviously the look of the drive, a little bit more compact LST. It obviously sits square, that's the big thing that sort of stands out to me, as well as the size of the head. But the rest of that, you know, the sort of colouring of the head is exactly the same. The sound, the feel is exactly the same. Great, could hit those all day long. I just feel super confident with those. And these dispersion numbers are very, very tight. So Ping is saying this is spinning 200 revolutions lower than the G410 LST and a good 500 to 700 revs lower than the G425 Max. I'd be interested to see what that does. And we all know strike around that club face is going to move spin, isn't it? You know, imperfections of strike up and down the club face, we know is going to move that spin a little bit more. So we've got to look at this as an average, haven't we, on those particular batch of shots. And that's a prime example. That is off the bottom of the club. I mean, the ball speed there is pretty good, 161 for that strike, but I know that spin exactly there. You can see 2,900. I know that spin's going to go up because of where I've struck it. LST, low spin, you can give me what you want. That spin number is going to jump up because of that strike pattern, and that just proves, you see the launch at 8.4, it's that low strike, comes out low, spins a little bit, it's weaker, isn't it? We'll drop off a little bit of distance there. But having said that, if we did then got that strike, maybe with the Max head, exactly the same strike, all things being equal, that could be maybe 3,300, 3,500. So sometimes those shots that can just, okay, the spin's gone up, but if you can get a little bit of control of it, it still gets that ball out there. So that's where I would say this is what you'd be looking at, and I would be looking at with a customer in here, you know, and through a fitting session, is definitely looking at strike and weighing strike into the actual equation, because it's so important of where you hit it on that club face. And that's ripped. That feels lovely. Really good. Don't want that one back. That was just very, very neutral and very nice on that strike. Lovely ball flight. Okay, so there's a few shots hit then with the LST. Let's jump into some numbers and see how the Ping G425 drivers are performing. So if we have a little look at the dispersion rings first, as you've probably just seen as we've gone through those shots there, the white being the Max, the yellow being the LST. To be honest, out of those, I would take both of those dispersion rings, both very, very tight, really. You know, I've not missed a fairway with any of those shots. You could argue maybe that one on that right there might just be starting to edge. That's 15 yards to the right of centre of the fairway. Depends on obviously the size of the fairway, doesn't it? But if we jump into the numbers there, as I say, I've not been swinging at my fastest today because it is literally like 1 degree temperature. I've got quite a few layers on, unfortunately, but it is what it is. So we've got G425 Max on the bottom, LST on the top in the yellow. So we can see club head speed, absolutely identical, just over that 110 mark as you'd expect. Ball speed just a fraction quicker with LST by 1 mile an hour, but not a great deal of difference. Launch pretty much identical, and you can see the spin there quite similar, to be honest, 2489 with the LST as average and 2617 with the Max. So we've got obviously the subtleties of strike there, haven't we, to weigh in, but over that batch of only 5 shots, bear in mind, obviously if you go over multiple shots that might change a little bit more. But you know, just that little bit lower spin as you sort of expect. But carry distance, you see exactly the same, carrying out that 280, run out 312, 309, and some good sort of land angles in there as well. Okay, so there we go, G425 from Ping. It's another very strong lineup from Ping, as you'd always expect. Super impressed with those. It's not massively a huge jump from what it was before, maybe in the G410. Again, I will do that video test to sort of determine that, but I think, you know, it's just a great product, and it's very solid. We've got some great adjustability, tuning for that fitting environment. Obviously, there's a lot of different shaft options, grips, everything like that. And one thing I haven't mentioned actually in there is the Arcos. We've got Arcos in the grips now, so you can track that data when you're out on that golf course, and then put it into the app, and it can obviously give you a lot of information of sort of misses and distances and everything like that, and sort of see patterns, which are very useful for your coach. So if you're having lessons, you know, take that information along, and he can then see, or he or she can then see the patterns that you're seeing out on the golf course when you're playing. Post your comments down below. G425, what are your thoughts initially? Is that something that you are going to go out and try yourselves? Bang your comments in this section down below. Love to hear your thoughts as always. Don't forget, the rest of the reviews are going to be coming fairway woods. We've got hybrids, we've got crossover, we've got irons. They will all come into the channel. If not, they are already on there now, so you can go and check those out. If you enjoyed the video, do share it around, hit the like button, hit the thumbs up, and obviously subscribe if you haven't done so already, and hopefully we'll catch up with you all very soon.